Okay, so today I want to talk about something that is a little bit uncomfortable, but very real. Because sometimes the people who love you the most are not the best position to see where you're going. Not because they don't care, but because they see you through a preconceived version of you they already understand. And in that gap between who you are and who you're becoming, there are things that get said with love, but they can quietly limit you. So I want to break down the 5 things that people who love you say that can actually hold you back if you're not careful. Here we go. Number 1, be realistic. How many times have we heard this one? And the worst part is that it usually sounds responsible, grounded, protective even. But what it often means is stay within what I understand as possible. The problem is that most things that change your life are not realistic at the beginning. Every person who has ever accomplished something significant had to possess some sort of belief, some might even call it delusion, that they could make it. When I was a little girl, I remember my father sitting down with his friends in Cuba and saying, "My daughter is going to graduate from an American university." Keep in mind, this was in Cuba, socialist Cuba. And some of his friends would tell him, "You are crazy, be realistic." Now, if we're fair, it's understandable what they thought that it could be unrealistic. But in my father's head, in my father's mind, it was a reality. So after enormous challenges, we left Cuba in 2003, and by 2011, I was graduating from an American university. That kind of advice, be realistic, shouldn't even register in your mind. You move forward. You know what's real to you. You know the changes and the things that you can accomplish. Move forward. Be unrealistic. Number 2, don't rush. You have all your life to do that. Well, newsflash, you don't. Life is short. I've seen young people fade away from terrible illnesses. I've seen healthy people disappear in the blink of an eye. Life is meant to be lived. And even if you're fortunate enough to have many years ahead of you, you should get as much out of this life as possible. Now, I'm not saying you should be responsible and dive into dangerous situations, but by all means, rush toward things that help you grow, mature, and feel more alive. A lot of the time, this phrase is used when you're doing something unfamiliar to the person giving the advice, because urgency makes people uncomfortable when they're not moving themselves. So don't rush can become, a way of slowing down your momentum, down to match just that person's comfort zone. You know your own timing. No two people are the same, and no two journeys are the same. So maybe rush a little, maybe live a little. Number 3, think it through more. There's this Chinese proverb, and I'm paraphrasing here, so bear with me, that it says, or it goes something like this: if you thought about it enough, decide. If you've decided, don't think about it anymore. There's a difference between thinking and delaying, because overthinking leads to procrastination. And several studies suggest procrastination is a self-regulation failure that is associated with a variety of personal and situational factors. At some point, overthinking becomes disguised hesitation. And if you keep waiting for perfect clarity, you'll end up making decisions that after the moment has passed, you'll miss the timing and you'll probably lose your momentum. So be wise about it. Just don't overthink it. Move forward. Number 4, what if it doesn't work? It is a valid question when you're starting a project, investing time, money, energy, and the person asking may have concerns in their mind. There might be warning signs going off, telling them stop because this could be counterproductive. It might be their, protective instinct kicking in. But at the end of the day, you also have to evaluate that they might be risk averse and they are projecting a hypothetical failure onto a project that hasn't even begun. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try. This question is usually asked with care. So the right approach is to evaluate risks and the possible outcomes, but don't forget to ask, what if it works? Because if you start rehearsing failure before you even begun, you'll eventually become your own obstacle. And when that happens, you don't need external resistance anymore. You become the resistance. Number 5, you're in over your head. People, regardless of how much they love you, they project their own limitations onto you all the time, often without even realizing it. Just because something has never been done in your family or in your community or your circle of friends doesn't mean that you're going to be the first one, that you're not going to be the first one to do it. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be the person who breaks the patterns and the generational chains that have existed before you, or the person who pioneers something extraordinary. Trust your instincts. And don't listen to naysayers just because they love you. They might have the best intentions in the world, but you are the one that has to decide the course of your life because it is your life. So the point isn't to ignore the people who love you. The point is to understand the filter they're speaking from. Because if you don't separate love from limitation, you can end up confusing protection with direction. And sometimes the biggest decisions in your life will require you to hear the advice, acknowledge it, and still choose your own path anyway. Not because you don't value the people given it, but because you finally understand where your responsibility to your own life begins. And who knows, you might end up inspiring them too.